because we didn't know who else was coming.
I mean, Scott looks great now.
You look good, Scott.
But- there we go.
Yep, too far.
Perfect.
I can move Gal.
I think
That's
we're
okay.
good. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yep.
All right, we are live.
I will call this meeting of the Leelanau County Parks and Rec Commission to order. We will forego the Pledge of Allegiance because of the Zoom configuration, if we may right now. Melinda, thank you. Move to additions to the agenda. Any additions or
Don't you want roll call?
roll call? Thank you.
Okay. We have a couple latecomers, but I think we definitely have a quorum. So, Mr. Behrens,
Yes, here.
Mr. Christensen,
Present.
Mr. Frericks,
Here.
Ms. Lautner,
Present.
Mr. Noonan absent prior notice, Mr. Popa,
Present.
Mr. Robbins,
Dang it.
Rick, you're here.
I see.
Hi, Rick.
Can you hear us? I think he's having trouble. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We still have a quorum. So, Melinda, don't we have to ask which township they're in if they're zooming?
Yes, they
Okay.
where they're from. Yep.
So Steve, you're here on site. I'm just gonna put via Zoom, but Don, what township are you in?
Suttons Bay.
Okay. One is in front. And John, which township?
Oh, I thought you asked me first. I'm Suttons Bay.
I did, but now I'm asking John.
Oh,
You the first meeting as a member of the public, I'm sorry for interrupting.
Yeah.
Turn your mic on.
Kelly?
Yeah, have a seat. So John,
Opa, you're muted.
There you go. Bingham Township.
okay, Rick, are you Elmwood Township? Thank you. Rick, can you hear us?
I keep hitting that. You need to know.
Okay, I'm pretty sure Rick is in Elmwood Township.
Yes.
I believe so.
John,
I guess you gotta say John Waller or John Popa.
okay, John Walter,
Sutton's Bay.
Sutton's Bay Township,
Yes.
okay? And Todd,
Solon Township.
okay. And guest present, okay. We have quorum. The number to call in for public comment is 231-256-8109. Did you wish to comment? We do have one guest.
No,
Okay,
thank you.
Lovely to have a guest. We rarely have guests.
I understand entirely.
Usually they want something.
all right.
I thought you were going to give a report on all the great work you're doing for Solon Township. Another time, maybe.
Yeah, okay, maybe another time.
Okay.
Did you want to continue, Dave?
Yes. Now, any additions to the agenda as was distributed? Any additions or changes?
Add financial reports?
We will add the financial reports at the top of the posted agenda. I'll accept a motion to approve the agenda with the addition of financial reports.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So that passes. Okay, financial reports. Scott, first of all, you got anything to say?
Nothing really major other than the repair to the RTD for the groomer. That came in at 1,100. We're at less than 2% of our budget right now, so.
1,100 for the groomer repair. Did they have any idea what happened? What caused that?
No. None at
Okay.
all.
Because as you and I looked at it, it seemed like it would have taken quite a force to twist that shaft in two. I was just
Right.
curious.
I did order spare parts, so if it happens again, we're all set, so. So that was part of the cost.
Would that be something out of curiosity that you'd repair, or we'd just have the spare parts and be able to get it done quickly over at Ginnett? I mean, is it something we'd do ourselves?
I probably would try it, yeah.
Okay. Well, so the groomer's back running. You ran it today. I'll do it. I'll look at Saturday morning then, if you think that's a better time than doing it right away tomorrow.
Yeah, I think Molly wants to ride with you too, but anyway, that's
Yeah, I was
for another time.
knowing that it's back, I was going to contact her and should I let you know when I plan to be there?
No,
Okay. Okay. I mean, I'm feeling comfortable after what we've gone through, what you and I've gone through.
no, I'll be out of town for the weekend, so,
Oh, okay. So no, I won't contact you then.
yeah. Probably won't have cell service anyways.
Anything else from the financials, please? Any other commissioner?
No.
Move to accept the financials as presented.
Second from Todd Yeomans. All in favor?
Aye.
So that passes. Now, approval of minutes. Again, I read the minutes from the previous meeting. I just escaped that, darn it.
This is John Pope. I looked at both of them and I wasn't there, but they looked real fine to me.
The approval, I didn't read the minutes from the organizational meeting, but I would approve the minutes from the full meeting, even though I haven't seen them today.
Move to accept the minutes from the organizational meeting of January 20.
Popa seconds it.
Any discussion, any other comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion to approve the minutes is accepted.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the regular session, January 20th, 2020.
Is it Rick?
That was Popa.
But Rick supported.
Right.
Further comment, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So the minutes of the regular session are approved. Now, I've escaped my agenda. I don't have it in front of me. I believe we're on to the reports from the 3 parks. Am I correct, Laurel?
Yes.
I don't know what order you published them in, but may I start with Veronica Valley?
Okay with me.
Okay. We've had a committee meeting. Our focus has been to really develop our priority list for this year and even the coming year because we face budget determinations, budget requests, et cetera, in the month of June. We discussed signage, and I will be looking for approval from this group. Well, now I've lost myself. Where am I here? Have all of you seen the documents that Laurel's filed?
Hopa has, she sent it to us.
Yes, I have.
I have, Dave, and it's not correct.
I wanted to let everybody know that rather than just sending it out to all committee members, I'm sending out all committee minutes to all parks members so that they have a better idea of what's coming down the pipe before the regular session.
Thank you for that.
I'm sorry, could I hear that again?
She sent it to everybody,
Sent what?
your signage thing.
Okay, okay. The story here is that this is wayfinding signage for the park, developed really following what I will refer to from now on as the POPA rule. That is, keep signage minimum. Let's not muck up our parks with lots of different signs. So there does seem to be a need. I've run into it personally where people have asked me when I've been out at the park, oh, where's the parking lot? Which way do I go? So we've developed a sign that basically answers that question. We've done this with Rob Herman in the equalization department and his GIS skills. His suggestion was we do what we show here, and that is a map that has numbers on it for each location so that we can have one file, one print of one map, and it'll do for any location because the post that the map is on will also have that number. So you're out in the park and you come to one of these signs and you see on the post that it's number, let's say number 3. And then you can see on this map where number 3 is located and begin to orient yourself. We're showing 6 signs, 1 from the back parking lot, 2 at the front parking lot as people would start on a trail, and then 3 more out in the park. Those 3, that position was chosen because those are 3 intersections where you can't see a parking lot. You can't see where you are. So in order to keep signage minimal, it's 6 signs, having orientation, not at every single, or a sign, not at every single intersection, but at those intersections where you really don't have much orientation as to where you are. In addition, we'll have a sign in the kiosk, a larger format in the kiosk in the glass case. Now, all of this, the Veronica Valley Committee voted recommendation to this group, to the full commission, that you approve our moving ahead with this signage development. We have a quote from Travis Repro for $490. The park committee voted recommendation to all of you that you approve of an expenditure of not to exceed $550 for these 6 signs. Now, this is still not gonna happen real quickly. I've already made one change to the sign. I want the numbers on the sign to be 1 font bigger. I've done that with Rob. It looks good. There may be yet some other change we come to because the county has approved expenditure for new ortho photos, new flyover pictures, and we'll be getting those sometime in midsummer to use as the background, a much more updated ortho photo. Scott, you had something to say?
Yeah, there's a few trails that are missing on the map.
Yeah, a few. I know of one. There are still a few changes to that map that will be done. But again, it's not going to change the cost or the recommendation that we move
No.
ahead with nothing, not to exceed $550.
No, it would, just more ink on it.
Yeah. Will,
So
which,
I-
would, excuse me, Melinda, which trail is missing, Scott? The one, there's one from the main parking lot straight back.
Yeah, that one too. The north side of Frog Pond.
Do you,
And-
oh, I didn't know you kept that open.
Yep. And then there's on the west and south side of Duck Pond, there's a trail as well that runs right along the shore.
Yeah. I see. We'll go over that because again, right now what I'm looking for, shoot. People, I'm having trouble here keeping my pictures straight. Okay, I'm back. I presume you could all hear me there.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Again, Veronica Valley Park Committee has recommended that this committee, that the Parks and Rec Commission approve an expenditure on wayfaring signage as we're looking at with the adjustments that will be made, not to exceed $550.
Dave, is that enough? Is 550 enough for the signs and the posts that are gonna go into the ground?
It includes the post and it includes a separate, probably 2-inch square sign for each post that will have the number on it.
Okay.
It
They're
does.
gonna be decent posts then, like a 4x4 or something.
John Walter, you priced this out. Are they 4x4 posts?
4x4, 8 feet long, and Northern quoted me $20.
Perfect.
I'll make that motion.
I want to hear what Melinda has to say.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, thank you. Melinda, you had your hand up earlier.
Well, yeah, I have a question. Way back when we met as a committee on the whole on the parks, we had talked about doing native species identification, bird identification, and wildlife identification, little kiosks for lack of a better term. And I have not walked this park. Are any of those in place yet?
Oh, no, none whatsoever.
So is this
And I don't
something that
think-
yeah, can it be added to these posts as we go? Do we still plan on doing that, or is that way down the road?
Well, it's certainly way down the road, but I think that was a real initial discussion that hadn't yet come under the discussion of, well, how much signage do we want? I think that was some pretty raw ideas of possibilities. So it's down the road, to answer your question most specifically.
Okay, as long as, what I'm trying to remember is whether we had linked that educational piece to the grant when we purchased that park. So if we did not, and we don't have to, I'm okay with waiting. If we did, I'd like to see us begin at some point to move forward with that, because I think that's a really important piece, the education part of that park. And I know since then you're doing your native plant areas, and people need to be aware of those too. So I know it takes a lot of time, as long as we still haven't forgotten that piece.
Well, so noted, and we'll bring that up in our committee discussions.
Okay, and I just want to remark that this park has come a long ways. So I really appreciate everything the park staff does for this park and everything this committee is doing to improve this park. It's really beautiful. And then I see it used all the time. Every time I drive by, there's a car or two there.
Thank you. I believe we have a motion on the table. Did we get
Who
a second?
seconded? Yeah, who seconded?
I'll
Gillies?
second it. Popa will second it.
Again, to review, the motion is to support our moving ahead with this signage development at a cost at this point not to exceed $550.
In that motion, you want to have the vendor, don't you?
Travis
Uh,
Repo.
Travis Repro.
I pulled up the draft motion that was recommended at the committee meeting.
Thank
So
you.
it's motion by Christensen to approve the purchase of wayfinding signage from Travers Reproduction and Supply Company Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $550, seconded by Yeoman and Hova.
John Walter?
That includes cost was based on that, our putting it in ourselves. I didn't put a cost for hiring somebody to do it.
Correct.
Now,
This cost was only for that contractor to make these signs.
Okay.
in addition, additional information, that cost was a quote as of now. Well, the county has approved purchasing of new aerial photos. Again, that's going to put this whole project in terms of actually getting the signs on the ground until mid to late summer, which means perhaps that quote will shift a little bit. I'm not sure of the procedure here, but our committee is looking for approval to move ahead on this with that kind of cost picture in mind.
All for a vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
I think Steve wanted to talk, didn't you?
Oh, Steve, did you have a comment or?
Yeah, I was just gonna say we can revisit. You know, if we get to late summer, the flyover happened, and we're looking at this and we see that our number is maybe fuzz over what was agreed upon, we merely have to bring it back for a new vote.
Thank you. Excellent. As I read it, this motion for us to proceed as we're going passed.
Yes, and Steve's absolutely right. We can come back and tweak it later, but I think it's really important. And we all know how slow this process is. So let's get it through. Let's get it through the Board of Commissioners. And then if we have to change, at least we can get the process started so that we don't have that delay later on.
Yeah, with this expenditure, if I'm not incorrect, we don't have to go with the full commissioner approval.
No, 'cause
These
it's-
were below?
Well, there's no agreement and it's less than 2,000.
Super. All right. Very good.
Good.
That'll be a little quick.
Moving on, we've discussed improvements to the parking lot. We are working on developing this is Veronica Valley Committee again. We are working on developing a step-by-step, piece-by-piece look at the cost, the budget, but certainly we're headed towards the idea that we will replace the culvert under the main entrance this year. In that it seems like that's a cost we can incur this year. That will begin to determine things we do with the improvements to the whole parking lot. Scott has suggested we make it much smaller than it is. Plowing is a problem. Maintenance of the surface under the plowing conditions is also a problem. We may be considering full paving, et cetera, but we're moving in the direction of one of the things we want to get budgeted and piece by piece get done this year is improvements to our parking lot. We will also be looking at some piece by piece. What can we do this year? What do we need to really look at and budget for next year? Improvements to our porta potty. Likewise, most importantly, perhaps, we've been talking about fishing access safety. The safety around the old putting green, the main fishing access point to the pond. And we're moving ahead on plans for pricing that out and developing the priority steps by steps that we can get done this year. But certainly improvements to the fishing access and fishing safety are something we want to move on quickly. Steve.
The report from Chevalier about the netting, that report from Heather about the netting and from the ponds, the most recent one, is that something that's available?
I requested it. I requested it from Heather, the most recent data she has. I haven't gotten a response as yet, Steve. So we're working on plans for that improvement because we've been talking about that safety issue for some time, and that we're going to move on. With that still in mind, I do want to say the fishing committee of the Lake Leelanau Lake Association they've contacted me. They are planning fishing day for this year. So various schedules, various things are going to be hung on that to some degree. But at this point in time, they are planning to have fishing day the last Sunday of June, as usual.
Dave,
Yes, John.
I want to bring it up in front of the committee.
Please.
John Walter and I have been working on this throat for this driveway. I doubt if we got money in this year's budget, or we could go in front of the board and ask for more money. But if we put curbs and pave that entryway, which is a dangerous entryway because of the potholes and mud and stones that go on the road. When we were talking about that, it was going to cost about 15 grand. And then I said, well, let's look at pulling that culvert up. Now, those on the Veronica Valley committees heard all this, but the main committee hasn't. So that was going to add some more money. The county road commission can pull that culvert up. I talked to them here this week. As soon as we get done snow plowing, we have time to do projects on the road commission, and they do it for cost to the government. And it looks like about a day's work. But we would want to know whether we want to spend, it could go from $5,000 to maybe $7,000 to do this. And if we say yes, proceed with it, you're not going to get a bid. We're going to get an estimate. Right now, we think it would take 1 day to do it. It could take 2 guys, a truck, and a backhoe, and usually can replace a culvert. But if you add a little bit of extra to it, there might be another truck, or you might have another person added to it, which would drive up another.
Vice Chairman,
Yes.
I would add that anything over $4,000 has to adhere to the county's bid policy, which means we have to go out for bids.
Yes, except there's an exclusion if you do it for the county by a government thing, then you don't go out.
No, that's not how it works.
Well, the county can't bid against private enterprises. That's against the law. So if you want to go out for bids for a private enterprise, that's fine. But the state law says you can't compete with a private individual.
John, you can have a discussion with County Administrator Chet Janik on this.
So I just want to know whether we want to proceed with replacing that culvert. If we have to go out for bids, so be it. But if we want to move ahead and get that culvert out of the way this year, I think we should see whether we want to spend up to that amount of money to go ahead and do it.
Todd?
Steve was first.
Oh, go ahead, Steve.
It might be a tad premature. I think I'd like to see John Walter's study finish up. He's working with Scott. We're thinking about the size of this parking lot. It's kind of looking like at the committee level, we might be saying that, this parking lot's quite a bit bigger than we need. So if we start talking about a smaller parking lot, we might be talking about a smaller culvert. One thing. And the second thing is, I think we need to let the bids come in for the Miles Kimmerly project to see what that dollar figure is, to get a good idea where we are as far as extra dollars. So I think it might be a little premature on the culvert. And beyond that, we're going to have to kind of walk through with Chet and see where the County Road Commission fits in. So that's all I have.
Steve, you're right. This culvert, John and I have been working on that entryway, and we'll work with Scott with respect to the width of that area that needs paving. But the culvert now is about 100 feet long, and you replace it with another one 100 feet long. It's going to take care of any of the entryway concerns, the curb and Scott's driveway. We need to narrow that entryway down, and John Wallers and I have been working on it. One side of that entryway is just too wide, and whether we narrow it down and how wide Scott wants it should have nothing to do with replacing that culvert. That's all I'm saying.
Todd?
Yeah.
I'm okay.
Okay, John Walter.
I've gotten some information from you today on parking, and I will show various approaches to parking, probably starting at 26 total maximum with a 70-foot diameter for bus turnaround, garbage pickup, and access to the porta potties. And then I will give it to John Hopa to review as to how he would feel in doing the curbing and entrance door.
So if I can, oh, Steve?
No, I just a thumbs up.
Okay, if I can then just review this part of it so far. We're working on these improvements specifically with the entrance that then leads to the full parking lot. We've got some work to do to develop the details for this full commission to consider. We certainly will straighten out, learn what we need to from county administrator relative to this bid process and all of that sort of thing. But just as a simple report from the Veronica Valley Committee, this is one of the big projects we're working on, as well as the fishing safety. The signage is small. We're taking care of that. It's going to get done later on this summer.
And thanks, Laurel, for bringing that up with that fact like that, because a lot of people are going to probably ask the same question.
I think that's it from my committee. Oh, no, Savin Lake Services. Veronica Valley Committee recommends to the full commission approval of the Savin Lake Services contract for this year. This is for weed treatment in the fishing pond. The cost is $2,475. We need to move on this so that we can present this to the full commission for approval, because this is a contract. So even though it's under 5,000, it's a contract. So the full county commission must approve it. We need to be in position to make that recommendation by their March executive session, to get approval at their full March meeting, because some of these fees have to be paid in the month of March for the permitting, which can take up to 6 weeks. Savin Lake Services wants to get that done, of course, so that they can have maximum flexibility on spray timing to have it done before fish day. So again, Veronica Valley Parking Committee has recommended to our full commission here that we pass on to the county commission request for approval of the contract from Savin Lake Services for $2,475. Questions?
I'll move that we make a recommendation to the County Board of Commissioners to enter into a contract with Savin Lake not to exceed $2,475.
I'll second it. Hopa.
Any discussion? Any questions? I will be working with Savin Lake Services. I'm going to ask for John Walter to help me on this as well. We're certainly planning on managing a pond with both weeds and open fishing access. We don't want the whole thing wiped right out. So that's to be determined yet, but the contract remains the same. I've talked with Paul Barber at Savin about this kind of mixed weeds and clear fishing area for the pond, and he said certainly we can make that plan together. So we'll be working on that. Okay, we have a motion to approve this recommendation to the full county commission, which is what I'll be organizing so that it gets done on time. Do I hear approval of, or all those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Thank you.
Dave,
Yes, Don.
I have just one question, sort of related to the fishing. What is the status of the trail going around the pond, the fishing pond?
The status?
Yeah, I thought we were going to improve that or something, or adjust the bank or something rings a bell about that.
Well, we maintain a mowed pathway around the pond. It's any reshaping, reconfiguration of the bank. The only discussion at this point is around the old putting green, the immediate fishing access off the main parking lot where most people go, and offers the most downline into deeper water fishing access. We haven't discussed any other kind of redoing.
Well, that's what I was talking about, yeah.
Yeah, we haven't talked, there's been no discussion of any other sort of reshaping of that land.
No, I was referring to just what you had mentioned.
I see, okay. That's proceeding. We don't have details to present to you yet.
Okay.
I think that does it for Veronica Valley. Don, do you want to jump in now and start with Miles Kimmerly?
Sure. We, Miles Kimmerly, who met on February 2nd, I was kind of disappointed we lost one of our members, and she has an active interest in horses. Disappointment. There's a lot of horse activity out there, theoretically, potential for it anyway. But what our committee did, first of all, we have nothing to act on from the full commission here, but I'll just give you an update of what we did do. We reviewed the goals in the 5-year plan and just talked about those a little bit. Then we focused on 4 specific areas that need a little more immediate attention, not necessarily related to the 5-year plan. And the first one is, it's in action already. There's an RFP out there for the logging cleanup, all the debris from the logging, and that's out there, and that'll happen this year. At what cost, I don't know, but we'll be back with that. The other thing that we were interested in is trail signs, similar to what Dave said, and I appreciate what the work is done at Veronica Valley. We could do the same sort of thing at Miles Kimmerly and tie into that even, or something of that nature. We haven't gotten that far along the way with that, however. We haven't identified what areas to have it. I wasn't aware of the POPA rule, but we'll take that into consideration when we put signs out there, because I think that's a wise rule. But we do need signage. Our problem, I'm new to that park, and when I first went there, I could not find the start, the head of the cool trail out there, the circular trail, the Patrick Cobbins Trail. You know, I got lost trying to find the start of the trail. So we need a little signage right at the parking lot up on Till, which you had on your diagram will work just fine for us. So that's in the works, and we'll come back to you with some recommendations. Scott's working on that actually for us through someone in the government center. I forgot his name. Anyway, the next thing that I have a like pet peeve about is I'll call it the grub shack there. When you first come into the entrance, there's a shack there that's looks to me like it's half fallen over. It's on cinder blocks. It's level, but you could kick the cinder blocks out and the thing would fall over, I think. It really needs repair. We talked about it. Rick has not really seen it. I don't know if you've seen it since our meeting, Rick, but he has to look that over. We'll go out there together and look at that. And we're gonna make a decision, the group will, whether this should be a tear down or it should be renovated into something else or what. And it's something to look at, you know, the committee's talking about that. And then the fourth item is the same issue that Veronica Valley has. That's the driveway into the place and the parking lot. It needs to be just gravelled and spread out and maintained a little better than it is, because there's holes there and stuff. It's filled with snow and ice right now, so it's not an issue, but in the springtime, it's gonna be a problem. Last fall it was. So those are the four things that we focused on. And I'm looking for the commission for one thing. If we get a new member on the group, we need one additional person on our committee for Miles Kimberly. And I'll stop there unless Steve has something to say, or Scott, or Rick.
Yeah, well, the Board of Commissioners last night appointed a new Parks and Recreation member, Michael Smith. And that he may be a good fit for that park.
Wonderful. Can I have that name again, please?
Michael Smith. And Laurel has his contact information.
Great, sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. And yeah, let's make sure that with all of our parks, when we consider signage, minimal signage as it may be, let's consider that we keep the look of it consistent across all three parks. So definitely, let's talk about where we'll make sure each committee talks with each other about signage, so we keep that consistent.
Has everyone seen your diagram? Did that go out? And I think it did. Everybody see it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I thought it was well done. I agree with increasing the size of the font on the numbers too.
Yeah, Rob Herman there in equalization assured me that they were visible once printed, but I said, no, make them one font larger as is, so that they're really crisp. I don't want to be out there and stand there and look and try to have difficulty reading the numbers when it'll be so clear on the post. Okay, any report from Old Settlers?
No, Old Settlers Park is not met. We will soon be meeting. There's just a few housekeeping things to take care of, really.
Well, one of the things that each of our committees has to keep in mind, and I'm only learning this, I'd have to say in this past year, but we really have to be planning at this time of the year, not only for the chores we want to get done in 2021, but the budget items for 2022, because Melinda's always, and Steve Christensen, and Casey and myself, since I've been on the commission, so the last, 3 years, I think, we meet in June to work on the budget for Parks and Rec for the next year. So each park committee should really be looking at big needs that are really more than we can accomplish with this year's budget, but big needs that may be needing to be put into the 22 budget. 2022 budget. Well, I guess, John Popa, please.
I guess, Melinda, I was looking here at the Old Settlers work, and there might be stuff needs to get put in the budget here. You did want to have some period signage. There was something about more designated parking, accessibility, upgrade the pit toilets. Now, does that mean that's going to cost a lot of money to have them universally accessible for parking, signage, and access? And we've talked about playground equipment quite a bit in the 4 or 5 years that I've been on it. And there was some launch development and the gazebo and pavilion. I think we took care of that. But anyway, it looks like there's some purchase stuff here that could be under a few $1,000, but if there's playground equipment, some of that stuff can run into a few grand. Cause you gotta now buy it out of a new kind of wood or plastic or something like that. But there's some stuff here that you can.
Well, there is, but you know what, that's spending so much in 20 on that park. I thought maybe I was getting it just that a lot of our money is going to be going to Miles Kimmerly this year. And can circle back around to Old Settlers, because there are those things. And there's also, yeah, the pavilion, I couldn't hear all you were saying, John, but if you talk about the pavilion, that's one thing.
I think you
And
the pavilion, yeah.
there's also the memorial wall we would like to do now that we have the extension done to the Grove Shack, and perhaps do the memorial wall for donations for that park.
And I'm thinking, Melissa, for next year's budget too, you know, some of this stuff, if we wanna in September.
Oh, yeah.
Go
And
into,
all the playground equipment there for sure.
yeah,
Yeah, again, that's something we all have to think about. We're working on being clear on our priorities for accomplishments in 2021. But here by June, halfway through this year, we really need to have some clarity, each of us, each of our parks, on major budget expenditures plans for 2022 right away. So let's keep that in mind in our committee meetings so that that can be communicated to, again, it's been Casey and myself, chairman and vice chairman, Melinda and Steve, working on that budget committee in June as we prepare what we submit to the full county commission.
Okay.
Well, I think then we're on to public comment again here.
I'm going to announce a number to call in, and then I'm going to offer a little bit of comment. The number to call in is 231-256-8109. And while we're waiting, I just want to have everyone consider from your various committees the tribal 2% allocation process for the first cycle will be due for the county board's May meetings. So if there's something you think might go towards being eligible for something like that, think about it and write an application. I can help direct you to where the form is. But we will need applications in May for approval by the board.
Thank you for that. I can tell you that the Veronica Committee will be working with Bill Watson again to prepare an application for additional work from his youth crews.
I have a comment.
She's got a comment.
You want to come forward?
Where would you like me to stand?
You can come right up here.
My name is Kelly Clare. I live in Solon Township, and I'm the chair of their Parks Committee. And I have 20 years of experience working for California State Parks and a degree in Parks and Recreation Resources from Michigan State. And one of the things I hear you talking about is signage, which I think is excellent. I love the POPA rule. We're going to start using that at our park committee meetings because you don't want to overburden people with signs. Most people don't look at signs anyway. And it was a park ranger out in California in the field. And what sign? I never saw the sign. I don't know how many times I heard that. My only comment, as I hear you talking about putting signs in the parks, which we would love to get to in our area, is consistency in the way the signs look. So that would be my request, is that people could clearly identify a county parks sign so they know that it's the one they should be listening to or looking at, and they can count on it. The state parks that I worked for in California had a very distinctive brown sign with a white border and a little bear symbol on it. Everyone identified those as state park signs, and they would look for those. So that would be just a comment that I would highly recommend, that your signage looks the same. In Solon Township, ours are just white with black lettering. We've used the same sign person for a number of years, and people now recognize them. So that was just my comment. Thank you.
Thank you.
John.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Laurel?
Again, the number to call in is 256-8109. I think 15 seconds should suffice.
And Laurel, you have a comment, you said.
I just commented about the 2% allocation.
Oh, got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
So may I ask a question?
Please.
So if a committee wants to write a 2% grant, should it come to Parks for approval from the Parks Board in April? So then it can be forwarded to the full board in May? Okay.
Thank you for that, because I think that's important, that if we have several different possibilities for 2% grants, the full Parks and Rec Commission needs to make the choice and priorities there. Thanks, Melinda. Am I hearing a comment in the background?
No, you're hearing laughter somewhere.
It's behind us.
Okay. Well, I think we're wrapping up here. Any commissioner comment?
Dave, you should probably call them out one at a time.
What, commissioner name? Don?
I'm good.
Steve?
I'm good.
John Walter?
I'm good.
Todd?
I'm just worried about Popa. He's been unusually quiet today.
Good point, Todd.
Cause for concern, huh? Rick?
Oh, set, thanks.
Melinda?
Thank you. I'm all set.
Scott, you got anything to add? You're our superintendent. You're the brain power here.
No, I'm good.
Okay, thank you.
John Popa.
Forgot me.
Oh,
I
John.
knew it was a John Popa rule. I didn't know it was about signs, so there may be more than one John Popa rule, but I have to number them pretty soon.
We'll make them up as we go along.
There's two things. I want to thank Laurel for organizing these meetings. She spends a lot of time on this, keeping us in order. And a big hand for her. But Scott, this is not a Popa rule. You brought it up. It's going to be called the Scott rule. And you brought it up, and I just took the cheerleading after you and stuff. But thanks, Scott, for bringing it up. But
Hey, we can go call it whatever you want, just no more signs.
Hereby amended to the Bradley rule.
there you go.
Bradley Pope.
Yes, a ring.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
I'll move.
Support.
All in favor? Thank you all.